Yes, a team that's 4-12 can still have a game with serious implications, and this was still that for the Washington Commanders, as Adam Peters now has a nicely wrapped gift here on Christmas Day. Welcome in everybody to Commanders Digest. I am your host, Carl McManus, and as I mentioned, a game with serious implications for the Washington Commanders. Despite falling by 7 points, the Commanders now sit with the seventh best record or seventh best odds to land the number one pick. Of course, this isn't a draft lottery like other sports, like in the NBA, like in MLB, or like in the NHL. This is all based on worst records. But Washington now has the seventh worst record, still sitting at 4-12 right here. So with that being said, the Commanders, yes, they lost this game to Dallas, but they gave their fans a gift and they gave Adam Peters a gift. That gift being, one, a competitive game for everyone to watch on Christmas Day. Nobody wants to be bored while opening up gifts, sitting around with family and eating. So they had a competitive and fun game, and they still managed to lose, and in that process continue to improve their draft status. So as you see here, only 6 teams worse than Washington, and they actually have an opportunity to improve on that this weekend, even though they'll be idle. So the remainder of this weekend's schedule for the NFL includes a 2-13 matchup with the New York Giants and the Las Vegas Raiders. So after this weekend, one of these teams will be a 3-win team, and that will obviously help Washington. So it's all about improving those odds in the draft right here. And as you see, for teams that are currently hold the 1 and 2 picks in the NFL draft, one of these will now be a 3-win team, stacking them up with the rest of the 3-win teams. You see Cleveland, the New York Jets, Tennessee, and Arizona all with 3 wins. And speaking on that, there's another matchup with the 3-12 team that could have some serious implications for Washington. So New Orleans has done the Commanders a favor in the last few weeks, winning 3 straight games to improve to 5-10, and they could do Washington another huge solid by losing this game to the Tennessee Titans, improving the Titans to 4-12 and sitting right there with Washington among the worst records and best best odds of landing one of the top picks for Washington. Now I say this, and it's important for Adam Peters because he spent a lot of his draft capital acquiring players for Washington that I won't say they haven't panned out, but obviously this isn't the season Washington or Adam Peters was expecting. They're sitting at 4-12 after reaching the NFC Championship game last year, 1 win away from reaching the Super Bowl, and now they're a basement dweller in the NFL. This could have serious implications, and it does have serious implications for Washington improving some of their roster as a whole. Now, I would say you take one of those top picks, Washington, keep losing and have other teams get some wins, like have one of these teams, I don't care who, preferably New York, because division rival, preferably New York wins this game. You have the Tennessee possibly winning this game, and then the last one that I hadn't mentioned yet, Arizona, another 3-12 win team, a 3-win 12-loss team. If they win this game against Cincinnati, which it's probable. I mean, Joe Burrow is back for Cincinnati, and he has been looking lights out, including a victory against the Baltimore Ravens, which has them in playoff peril. But if the Arizona Cardinals can win this game, it improves Washington's draft status even more. We see here, sitting at 4-12, 7th in the draft order right now. But if some of those teams can keep winning, Adam Peters can then use one of those top picks, trade back to a quarterback needy team, and rehaul this roster. So we've seen the Commanders go out and trade draft picks for Laramie Tunsil, Marshawn Lattimore last season, and Deebo Samuel in this offseason. So you'd use some of that draft capital that you can recap from this trade if Washington continues to slide, and you can build upon your team like that. Whether you want another wide receiver for Jayden to throw to when he's healthy next year, or you need more defensive ends, defensive linemen. I'll touch on that in a little bit with the pressure that Washington got in this game against Dallas. Don't worry, I will talk about this game. I just want to give you what the implications are for this loss for Washington. But you can take that and you can move down. You can get wide receiver, like I mentioned, defensive linemen, or you can get some safety help, which the Commanders also need. But as I mentioned, it wasn't all just about draft status for Washington. Sure, that's what I'm primarily preaching about right now, but Josh Johnson proved me wrong. I have to admit, I did not expect this kind of game from him. Sure, he threw for under 200 yards, no touchdowns, but also the important part, no turnovers, no interceptions, or no fumbles for Washington's offense as a whole. Of course, they didn't generate any either, but that's exactly what you want to see. In a game where they lost 30-23, Washington didn't have any turnover-worthy plays, and that kept them in the game the entire time, and Josh Johnson was a huge reason for that. So I owe him an apology and a hats off for keeping the Commanders in this game. But another guy that I've mentioned recently is Jacory Krosky-Merritt. Just taking a look at the Commanders' stats real quick, you see how badly they got outyarded. I know that's not a phrase, but you see 480 total yards for Dallas, just to 320 plus for Washington. But the real one here is time of possession. I mentioned it in a video a couple videos ago, before the Commanders played the Eagles, how they needed time of possession. They needed to run the ball, keep possession, and prevent Philly from dominating him in that fashion. Washington's defense is susceptible, and the longer they're out there, the worse they're going to perform. And you see pretty much that's exactly what happened in this game against Dallas. Huge time of possession differential right here, and that's pretty much what doomed Washington. And as you see here from Nikki Javala of The Athletic, the Cowboys' 87 plays are the third most in a single game this season in the NFL, per True Media. So Washington's defense was on the field way too much, and that's pretty much what kept them from being able to win this game. But as I mentioned, that's exactly what Commanders fans should be wanting. The Commanders have a perfect opportunity to move up in the draft order, and a loss like this helps. And with the final game of the season being against the Philadelphia Eagles, that's another game that could help their draft status. But Jacory Krosky-Merritt, he's who I was trying to talk about. A wonderful game from him after Chris Rodriguez was scratched with an illness. Another 2-touchdown game, and a second consecutive game where he scored, and the Commanders haven't won. So ever since I put that stat out there, the Commanders seem to want to prove me wrong. But 2 touchdowns for Jacory Krosky-Merritt and over 100 yards rushing. That's exactly what you want to see. 2 touchdowns from a 7th-round pick, another thing to build on. I mentioned the draft haul that the Commanders could get from trading this pick. But if you already have guys like this on your roster, you continue to build with guys like this, and the sky's the limit. I know I use that phrase a lot, the sky's the limit. But for a team that made the NFC Championship last year, of course they had a down year this year with all the injuries, specifically to their quarterback Jayden Daniels. But another guy, a diamond in the rough, a 7th-round draft pick, can continue to develop and have a monster year next year as the Commanders hopefully push more for some playoff success. But that's not the only guy that had success for Washington. This guy right here, Jayden Newton, also known as Johnny Newton. I bring him up because he had a spectacular game for Washington, something that hadn't happened since 2015, a 3-sack game, pressuring Dak Prescott and forcing him to hit the ground 3 times at his hands, that being Johnny Newton. So another guy, 2nd round, 3rd round pick last year, who had a spectacular game. So more guys that Washington, if they can continue to use this draft capital to get younger guys, absolutely great find, and something that hadn't been done since 2015. So shout out to Jayden Newton, and he had a really cool quote to the media after this game saying, "Once I catch fire, it's really hard to stop me." And I absolutely love that. I love that confidence, and I hope to see it continue not only for the game against Philadelphia, but hopefully next season as well. He's a guy that Washington will need, especially with all the injuries that they faced this year. Hopefully he's a guy that, obviously a young guy. I know he dealt with a feet injury, had foot surgery to both of his feet prior to his rookie year. But this is a guy that, along with Bill Krosky-Merritt, can continue to raise the ceiling for Washington, along with some of that draft capital that they could gain if they continue to lose these games or lose the final game against Philadelphia. So in conclusion, hope for one of these teams to win. I'm hoping the Giants win, being a division rival. You don't want them getting the number 1 overall pick. I hope Tennessee wins. My brother's a Saints fan, so I keep telling him, thanks for winning the last few games. Now go out and lose this one. And finally, hopefully Arizona can pull one off. And again, push Washington further up this draft order list so GM Adam Peters can continue to do his thing and make this roster better for Washington. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I'll see you next time.